Hello and welcome to episode 33 of the Make Things Better podcast. Today I'm joined by Richard Oliver Bray. Welcome on, Richard.
Thanks for having me. Yeah, it's good to be here. Good to chat to you.
Yeah, brilliant. Thanks for coming on. I've wanted to record with you for quite a while now, a few months. Been waiting for the better lighting equipment and whatnot.
It looks really good. I really like it. I'm a bit jealous. I wish I had the same stuff at home, but yeah, maybe I'll get there.
I appreciate that. I'm sure I'm going to learn a lot from you today about content creation.
Too much pressure.
So yeah, that's what we're going to talk about today is content creation. So really excited to have you on. Do you want to start off by introducing yourself a little bit?
Yeah, sure. So I'm Richard Oliver Bray, as you mentioned. I'm a full-time web developer, so I do full stack, but I do content on the side, and I'm doing more content. I want to get more into it, so it's nice to chat to you, to share tips, and just to get to know what you're doing and share it with the world as well. So yeah, I move my hands a lot, by the way. I'll try to do it less, but if I do it too much, just tell me off. It's just a thing.
I think it's something I need to do more. Now I'm conscious of it. I'm like, I just start moving my hands a bit more. Yeah. Because sometimes I'll go through a whole episode and my hands will just be here, and really I should be a bit more interactive.
I think people are just like listening the whole time. They don't want to see hands, so
I don't know.
It's fine.
We'll find a nice, happy medium.
Yeah. Just cut my hands out. If I move it too much, just edit them out. Yeah.
I love that. So how did you get into content creation?
Yeah, so that's a really good question. I sent an email to my mum ages ago, and she basically sent me an email back saying my English is really bad. You need to change your English and get better at writing. So I thought, okay, I'm going to do that. And the best way to get better at writing is just to write loads. So I wrote a bunch of articles, just sharing my thoughts initially. And as I got more into web dev, I found a piece of technology called Jekyll, which is used for making blogs. But there wasn't a video on Jekyll, and I love to learn with videos. So I made a tutorial. It did quite well. Made some more, and I think I like getting feedback from people saying, "Hey, I've learned well from you. Can you do more stuff?" So I've just done more and more things, and people seem to enjoy it. People seem to like my teaching style. So it's just kind of grown and grown from there. It's mainly focused on web stuff. I've done some game stuff as well. I'm trying to figure out how to do them both well. But it's just basically my mum has spurred me on to share my knowledge in a bit of a weird way, but it works.
Yes, it sounds like it started off in a very natural way, really.
Yeah.
How long ago was that?
Like 10 years, I would say. Yeah, I think I've been doing it more and more as time has gone on, but before it was just once a month, every 2 months. It was just something to do just for fun, really. It wasn't something I thought could be a potential career or something that could bring in money. I think it's cool that nowadays people can make a living of doing content, and so it's nice that it's a possible option for me.
Yeah, and so nowadays, what do you enjoy about creating content in particular?
It's still sharing knowledge. I think I like getting better at it. I think I like watching people who are really good and then going, I like the way they've done that. Can I do the same thing here? I like the way they've got their camera or their lights or the way they're speaking. Can I copy the same thing? But I think at the end, it's just knowledge sharing. If people understand what I'm teaching and people get to see it and learn from it, then that's the main aim.
Yeah, brilliant. And so talking about that kind of creative process, like learning from other people, what would you say is your process for sort of learning? Like, how do you go about improving the quality of the content that you create?
So there are 3 ways that I go about. And I actually wrote them down, and so I might get one wrong or just not say one, but I'll try and remember. So the first way is to service the community. So service the community that can consume my content. And the way I do that is looking through the comments, just listening to what they say. They might say, "Oh, the camera's a bit off here," or "I didn't understand this properly. Can you speak better?" One thing that I got that I didn't know was an issue was writing down codes. People don't want to see the actual writing down and me correcting typos. I just want to see the result. So I've edited that out. So when I'm writing code, I just edit bits out and just show the results, which is really helpful. And also just asking what people want to see. So do you want to see more game dev, web dev? Do you want to see this specific technology? The YouTube polls are really helpful for that. Twitter polls. I think LinkedIn do them as well. I haven't tried them, but I found YouTube ones really helpful. Surveys, Google Forms. So asking people questions and getting them to fill it in. So just asking the community, that's the first one. The second one is gear. So I think gear is quite important. I think somewhere on YouTube they said having good audio is better than video. So I've got an okay camera. I mean, an okay mic. So I can see Yeti here in the background. For people watching, you can't see it, but I've got Yeti. It's good enough. It's not the best. I know you can get really good mics that I think they're like compressor mics or something like that, but I just have a regular Yeti USB mic, works well. And a good camera. I watch a lot of video on lights. So having like colored lights in the background, you can get, what can you get? You can get these lights that are like a string or like I don't know what you call them, like a pole light, and then they change colors. So you can have like a rainbowish light. I haven't gone that far, but I've got a floodlight which changes colors. So community, gear, and speaking properly. I think that's a good one. So coming from South London, being born in South London, there are a few things like I don't say properly, like think or that. Just like speaking properly for the camera, because not everyone speaks English or not everyone understands South Londonish. So speaking properly for people who are American or German or Polish, and I think that's that's helped me get better content-wise.
Wow, they are really, really valuable tips. I love those, and I think they're things that anyone could kind of apply, because I could definitely do with speaking better, and I also know that our gear could definitely improve because the audio.
You've got amazing gear. You put yourself down. This is really good gear.
I think the lighting. I like the lighting now. I have to admit. I think the audio there. I think you're right about that.
Yeah.
Because I've noticed that the audio in this room isn't always the best. So that is something we could definitely improve. The first one about generating sort of ideas for your content from your community. What would you recommend to someone who perhaps hasn't got to a point yet in their content creation sort of career or whatever they're doing, where they don't really have that community to generate ideas from, so they're not really getting comments or anything like
that? So my area of expertise is like tech content, so programming. So the stuff I'm going to tell you is based on my experience. I'm not sure how it will apply to other fields, but I'll tell you anyway. So what I think has worked quite well for me is going to places where I think my community will be. So if I follow, I don't know, Mr. Beast, he's not a tech guy, but that's a good example. Mr. Beast might have a Discord forum or server or whatever. So join his Discord and see what questions people are asking, see what problems people have. If he has a Facebook page, join that. If he's got what else is around? Google Plus is not a thing anymore, or Google Search, I don't know what it's called. But yeah, just like a social media platform that someone who you aspire to be like is on, or the audience you want is on. And I joined a lot of Discord servers earlier, and people ask questions to people who made the Discord. I'm trying to think of a good example of someone who people might know who does tech. MKBHD, is that someone who rings a bell? No?
I don't know too many people.
Okay,
well, our audience probably do.
He's quite a big tech guy, so I imagine he's got like a forum. So if someone joins that who wants to make tech content, they could join this forum and see what people want. So they might say, I want like someone to review a Motorola phone, and Marcus might not have done that. So you could do that, and then you get his audience from there.
That's a great tip. And like YouTube comments as well, right?
YouTube comments, that's a good one. You could follow his comments and see what they say, or just scroll down in the comments and read them, reply to them.
Can that be quite time consuming, sort of going into these communities and sort of seeing what people want to learn about?
Yeah, I think there are two ways to look at things. So if you want to make content just for fun, then you can just not do that. Release once a fortnight, once every 6 months, whatever, at your own leisure. That's fine. I think if you want to turn it into a business and make money from it, then you need to analyze your competition, get some analytics, do the work. And it is time consuming, and it will be at the start, but the more you do it, the less time consuming it will be. And I think it's that mind shift that's important. When you shift from hobby to, okay, I want to make a business, then like a regular business would do this stuff. A regular business wouldn't go, I'm not going to look at my data or analytics or do any research. So it's important, if you want to change your content from hobby to business, to have like a mindset of a business person.
Yeah, absolutely. And if you are sort of going through that transition, here's a tough question, but what's your thoughts on like frequency? Like how often do you think you should be posting for the different social media platforms?
Yeah. So again, I'm going to say my experience is different from everyone else's. My area is different from what you might want to do. But I think it's not really about the frequency. I think frequency is important. It's important to post often, but doing it once a day is too much. Doing it once a month is too little. And I think it's down to how often you can produce quality content. So if it takes you 2 weeks to do it, then release every 2 weeks. If it takes you a week, then release every week. But I wouldn't post for the sake of posting. It has to be quality content. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a great answer. And how do you get to a point where you are producing quality content? Do you think you should sort of take the time to learn how to create content that's quality, or sort of iteratively post content that's maybe not to the best standard that it could be until you get to a point where it is quality?
I think maybe the latter. So you do have to post often to get better. So the more you post, the better you'll get. But I think it's also important to take feedback in, and especially when you're new. So when you're new, you have to get better and try different things, see what works for someone else. And it can get quite costly as well, especially if you're investing in a mic and camera and all that stuff. So it's important to do that, but slowly and not just quickly at once. But yeah, that is a really good question. I think for most creators, especially on YouTube, their first videos are really, really rubbish. So rubbish camera, rubbish audio, rubbish quality. And the more they've done, the better they've got. Now, I don't really know what the number is, if they've done like 1,000 or 100 videos to get really good. Everyone's different, but it's important to keep posting and just keep producing content.
Yeah, absolutely. And what platforms have you been posting on over the last year or two? And which ones do you maybe enjoy creating content for?
Yeah, so I've been on YouTube for the longest amount of time, but recently I've enjoyed posting on TikTok, and I guess more short form in general. So YouTube Shorts, Instagram Reels, and TikTok. The short form stuff is quite interesting to me because I can do it quite quickly. So I just find something I want to share. So like a quick tip on programming, just record that. Editing is quite quick because it's 60 seconds or less. And I get quick feedback from TikTok, which is surprising because you wouldn't think people who code are on TikTok, but there are lots of them on there.
Yeah. Well, I noticed that some of your videos had, over 100,000 views on TikTok, views. Right?
Yeah, which is a shock to me, especially. And because TikTok is meant to be like for kids, for teenagers who just play Fortnite and stuff. So all they're doing learning code. But yeah, they've got, my videos have got some traction. And I get a lot of comments, really good comments, really helpful comments as well. People know their stuff when it comes to code and TikTok and just stuff in general. So it's surprising. And so I want to see how far I can push it, how long I can go on TikTok. But TikTok is doing well for me. But YouTube is really good for, they've got really good analytics, really good analytics, really good platform in the back end for uploading videos, uploading shorts, really good community stuff. So you can do community posts, memberships, super creator emoji type things. It's really good for that. But I'm not getting as much engagement on YouTube. And I think maybe because there's a lot of people on there, I don't know, maybe because it's popular, it's saturated. It's meant to be the second most popular search engine, I think. Yeah. So maybe there's too many people on there. But TikTok is doing quite well for me at the moment.
So do you think TikTok's doing better because there's less creators sort of talking about code at this point?
I think so. Yeah, there are less code influencers on TikTok. So,
but there's still a lot of people who want to consume that content, right?
Which is surprising to me. I don't understand how someone could learn to code in a 60-second video, but people want to do it, so I'll just give them the content.
Yeah, and you mentioned about getting quite a lot of feedback on TikTok at the moment.
Yeah.
Would you say you're learning things yourself from the viewers who are commenting?
It's not really feedback on on composition, on camera stuff, on audio stuff. It's more the code that I'm producing. So they might say, oh, I've done this thing with another platform or another package and it's worked well for me, or oh, this sucks, I wouldn't do it this way. I find it quite interesting that they know so much and they have their own views, and they've got such strong opinions on stuff. I didn't know I'd get that from TikTok. I thought that would come from YouTube, but not TikTok.
Yeah, that's really interesting. I noticed actually when we uploaded a few videos talking about Next.js quite a few months ago on TikTok, they did get a lot more views than I anticipated.
Yeah.
So that was a bit...
Next is popular. I think one thing I might want to try, sorry to cut you, one thing I might want to try is the streaming, because you can do live TikToks.
Okay.
I don't know how that will work, but just trying some live streaming, see how that goes. Because I've done some live streaming on YouTube, and I did do Next.js. That's my most popular live streamed video on YouTube, is talking about Next.js. So I'll see if that works on TikTok as well.
Yeah, interesting. What sort of stuff do you think you'd talk about if you were to do a live stream on TikTok?
Just code. So I think the way I record on TikTok is I do it on my computer first and upload it. So I'm going to try and find a way to hook up my kind of TikTok account to my computer camera, and not, because I think most people use their phone camera for it and stuff. But if I do it that way, then I can do the same stuff I'm doing normally. So I can have my code editor on TikTok, my face on one side, and then just code and talk. And I think it might just be, I'm going to build, I don't know, a simple site, and then people just give comments and give feedback. And yeah, it's early. I might not do it, but it's just a thought I've had because they're quite popular, or they do quite well on TikTok lives.
Yeah, brilliant. That's a good idea. And what tips would you give to other people who want to get into content creation?
I guess it depends on the person, right? So I think it's important to not be afraid of listening to your own voice. That's quite an important thing. Not be afraid of looking at your own face on the camera, because that's quite important. But if you're past that, if you're comfortable with your face and your voice and looking silly or making mistakes, then I think finding something that you like to talk about or like to give information on that not a lot of people are doing, or not a lot of people are doing in the way that you do it. Because doing something that someone else has done in the same way that they're doing it will not get you as many views, because they've done it for longer than you have, and they've got the audience, and they will have people going to them instead of you. But if you were to do something that is less popular or more specific, so again, with a tech example, if I were to review every single camera and every single phone, every single laptop, then there are people out there who do it much better than me. But if I were to focus on one type of phone or one type of laptop, like I were to focus on, I was going to say Windows phones or Nokia phones, they're not a thing anymore, are they? I don't think they are. What things? Oh, you've got is that an Apple Watch?
Yeah.
Okay, so say I'm going to do a video just on Apple Watches, right? Then you might watch that because that's interesting to you, instead of going to like a regular tech YouTuber who does everything. So that might work well for someone who's starting out, just focus on a niche, maybe a niche of a niche, and just continue doing that.
Yeah. And I suppose once you've gone quite niche and you've identified your audience, you can either grow with that audience or sort of expand upon that with other things that maybe that audience is already interested in.
I think the other things route is the one that works well for me, and like coding stuff, because we spoke before we recorded, but you were talking about doing a course. And I think that works really well for people who have an audience, but a massive audience. You're not like Mr. Beast with millions and millions of dollars. If you have an audience who are dedicated to you, then you could release a course, charge like, I don't know, £25, £30 for it, and then you could make a decent living out of that if you have lots of courses. And you can, there's so much you can do with dedicated audience. You can do so much, and it grows from YouTube. So,
do you think you would like to build a course or do something similar in the future?
I don't know how much I can say. So I have worked on courses for other companies before, and I am currently in the process of making courses for companies. In terms of my own course, I'd love to do that. I just haven't carved out the time. But yeah, it does make sense, right? Because I've got, I don't know, 8,500 followers or subscribers on TikTok, 3 and a bit on YouTube, 3,000 and a bit. So I could say, hey, to all my collective followers and subscribers, I'm going to release X course, and they will go to it. Some might pay, some might not pay. But if I get, I don't know, 1% of 10,000 people paying for a course, that's decent money, I think. So
yeah, definitely. Yeah, very interesting. It's a changing world, and if you do build that audience up and you have something of value to offer, and your audience really like listening to you in particular because they just learn from your sort of educational style, then you're kind of set, aren't you? In many ways.
I've got a thought, right? Just off of that, I don't want to mess up your train of thought, but I have seen people who own companies, like CEOs, have their own content on TikTok and YouTube. And I think they use it as a way to promote their product, their startup. And that has worked quite well. So there are a few people that I watch, tech people, who talk about coding. And then I look at their profile and go, oh, you're a CEO of a company? And then I look at the company and it seems to be a company about AI, a company about blogs and stuff. And it's a good way to advertise without paying for advertising if you create content. So, which is what you're doing.
Yeah, absolutely, yeah.
It does work quite well.
So do you think companies, maybe like agencies, should be like creating more content? Do you think that's like a good way of sort of doing their marketing nowadays?
I think so, 100%. I think, especially if you're unique, if you're a different company from everyone else, then if you portray that with the social media, with videos, you could attract more talent or attract more specific talent to what you do. And people who might want to work with you, other companies might look at the videos and say, hey, this company seems quite cool. They have our same values, our same morals. Let's see if we can work with them. If you were to go with, like, I don't know, Google Ads or like an agency, they might not capture your ethos, your morals, or what's the word I want? It's like company culture. There we go. They can't capture it as well as you can in company. And so if you can portray that online, that does wonders.
Yeah, definitely. What are 3 things that you would say you have learned in creating content over the last 10 years or so?
Oh man, that's a big question. 3 things I've learned, just creating content in general.
It's a tough one because you've already covered quite a lot.
Yeah, I've covered quite a lot. I think the stuff I've mentioned before. So audience is quite important. Actually, I've listened to a lot of businessy podcasts, so it's business growth and that sort of stuff. And I think they all talk about audience as well. But I think having that sort of mindset that this is a business can help. Well, I've mentioned it before, but it can help with the growth and with direction to kind of say, okay, this is the goal, this is the aim that I have for my media, for my content, and I'm going to try and go towards that goal. And it shapes what you do. I think one thing that I've seen, so I follow someone called Alex Hormozy. He's quite a big businessy guy. He said something very important. He said that the biggest thing that can cause a business to fail is distraction. So doing the new and shiny, doing like the next big thing. Whereas if you were to focus on the thing that's already doing well and scale that, and not just like get distracted by other things, then that works really well. And I think with my content, or with content in general, it's easy to go, oh, look at that person, they've done that. Maybe we should do that as well. They've done that. And I think if you focus on what's doing well for you and just keep doing that, that could do really well. So an example is I've spoken about game dev on my YouTube channel before, and I've spoken about web dev. And web dev was doing well for a while, so I thought I'd just do that. But people came back to me and said, when are you going to do game dev stuff? I want to see game dev. So I thought, oh, well, it doesn't do as well as web dev, so I'll just do that. And then the algorithm for YouTube changed. So my game dev stuff was starting to get more traction. I thought, okay, well, people are asking for this, so let's now change gears on YouTube to focus on web dev for long form content. So short form is always going to be game dev. Game dev for long form, web for short form. And that's because people want it. And so now I'm going to focus on that, and whatever happens, whatever kind of new tech comes, I'm going to say, I'm focusing on the game dev. I'm not going to do anything that's going to distract what my audience want. I'm just going to focus on that and see how I can grow that. So I find that really useful advice.
That kind of makes me think of markets and how you can sometimes have share prices that fly up, and then everyone sort of goes in and tries to buy it. But by that point, they're kind of too late. Yeah. If you just stick to what you know and
that's a really good example. Yeah, you can put money in stocks or ISAs or whatever. You're not supposed to take it out for like 3 to 5 years, and if you take it out because something has scared you, then you lose that money. But if you just stick at it and just keep the money in there, then it grows well. That's a really good analogy.
So the final question is just a bit more of a broad one that we ask every guest, and that is, what do you think people can do to make things better? And you can interpret this however you like.
No, this is a tough one to answer. I think focusing on community. I've said this many times before, but there are very few people who are kind of called or who have the desire to move. Like if you're, I don't know, in Sheffield and you want to have a company in London, and it does well, then that's great. But I think if you're in Sheffield, or if you're in London, or if you're in I don't know, Aberdeen, then if you focus on the community around you and then make that a better community, that's a good thing. And so, like I said, a few people can go to a different state or different country, whatever, and do really well there. It's better to focus on what you know, who you know, and what's around you, than to try and chase next big thing, if that makes sense.
So is that about like keeping things local to your area, or?
So yeah, local to your area, if you're working somewhere that's local to your area, but just areas that you know, people you know, if you know ways that you can improve the community even a tiny bit, it doesn't have to be through your work. It could just be, I'm gonna, I don't know, go and volunteer somewhere, or go and give my time to the elderly, something weird like that. I think if you can improve the community, that's making things better.
Yeah, absolutely. I love that. Yeah, that's brilliant. All right, so yeah, thanks so much for coming on the podcast.
No worries, thanks for having me. This has been fun.
Yeah,
I hope I've spoken well enough for the transcript, but
absolutely, far better than me. So, yeah, where can people find you?
Oh, good question. Yeah, this is stuff that I listen to all the time, and I forget. People don't ask me. So I'm on YouTube. If you just search on YouTube for Richard Oliver Bray, TikTok as well. What else am I on?
Twitter,
yeah, Twitter, Instagram,
LinkedIn.
LinkedIn. Yeah. You should be my what's the word? Shout man. But yeah, just Google my name. You'll see links for me around.
Awesome. We'll have all the links in the description as well. All right. Thanks a lot for watching, listening, or reading. It's been an absolute pleasure chatting to you, Richard, and I hope you have an amazing rest of your day.
Cool.
All right. Cool.
See ya.